Welcome to our tutorial, Competency 1, about human development. There are 4 types of human developments: cognitive development, physical development, social development, and emotional development. We will use some terms for infant between the ages 0 and 1, for young child and children, early childhood, adolescent between 10 and 16, middle and high school, young adolescent between 10 and 13, middle school, old adolescent between 13 and 16, high school, teenage between 13 and 19. Let's see what cognition is. Cognition is a term commonly used to refer to all processes whereby knowledge is acquired. The term can be used to cover very basic perceptual process such as smell, touch, sound, and so forth, to very advanced operations such as analysis, synthesis, and critical thinking. Let's talk about deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning, we're going to have first theory, after the theory, hypothesis, observation, at the end we have confirmation. A deductive argument is one in which it is impossible for the premises to be true, but the conclusion false. Thus, the conclusion follows necessarily from the premises and inferences. In this way, it is supposed to be a definitive proof of the truth of the claimed conclusion. Here is an example. All men are mortal. This is a premise. Socrates was a man, another premise. At the end, we have a conclusion. Socrates was mortal. As you can see, if the premises are true, and they are, then it simply isn't possible for the conclusion to be false. If you have a deductive argument and you accept the truth of the premises, then you must also accept the truth of the conclusion. If you reject it, then you are rejecting logic itself. Inductive reasoning. First of all, we have observation, then pattern, then tentative hypothesis. At the end, we have theory. An inductive argument is one in which the premises are supposed to be support the conclusion in such a way that if the premises are true, it is improbable that the conclusion would be false. Thus, the conclusion follows probably from the premises and inferences. Here is an example. Socrates was Greek, premise. Most Greeks eat fish, premise. At the end, we have a conclusion. Socrates ate fish. In this example, even if both premises are true, it is still possible for the conclusion to be false. Maybe Socrates was allergic to fish, for example. Words which tend to mark an argument as inductive and hence probabilistic rather than necessary include probably, likely, something like that. Concrete versus abstract thinking. Abstract thinking is a concept often compared to concrete thinking, in which thinking is limited to what's in the front of the face and the here and now. In contrast, the abstract thinker can conceptualize or generalize, understanding that each concept can have multiple meanings. Such thinkers might see the patterns beyond the obvious and be able to use patterns or a variety of concrete ideas or clues to solve larger problems. John Piaget uses the terms concrete and formal to describe the different types of learning. Concrete thinking involves facts and descriptions about everyday tangible objects, while abstract formal operational thinking involves a mental process. One example of this contrast could be the reactions of a concrete and abstract thinker to the same painting of a woman holding a torch. The concrete thinker would interpret the painting in a literal way, but the abstract thinker might interpret the painting as a representation of the Statue of Liberty and conclude the painter wanted to celebrate freedom. Let's look at concrete thinking and abstract thinking. While concrete thinkers are thinking like this, heavy things sink. It will sink if its density is greater than the density of the liquid. You breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Abstract thinker is thinking like this. Gas exchange takes place between the air in the alveoli and the blood. Concrete thinker, plants get water through their roots. Abstract thinker is thinking like this. Water diffuses through the cell membrane of the root hair cells. Let's look at reflective thinking. Reflective thinking involves personal consideration of one's own learning. It considers personal achievements and failures and asks what worked, what didn't, and what needs improvement. It asks the learner to think about her own thinking. Reflective thinking focuses on the process of making judgments about what has happened. However, reflective thinking is most important in prompting learning during complex problem-solving situations because it provides students with an opportunity to step back and think about how they actually solve problems and how a particular set of problem-solving strategies is appropriated for achieving their goal. How to promote reflective thinking? Provide enough wait time for students to reflect when responding inquiries. Here, provide enough wait time. Provide emotionally supportive environments in the classroom, encouraging re-evaluation of conclusions. Prompt reviews of learning situations, what is known, what is not yet known, and what has been learned. Provide authentic tasks involving ill-structured data to encourage reflective thinking during learning activities. Prompt students' reflections by asking questions that seek reasons and evidence. Provide some explanations to guide students' thought processes during explorations. Provide a less structured learning environment that prompts students to explore what they think is important. Provide social learning environments such as those inherent in peer group works and small group activities to allow students to see other points of view. Provide a reflective journal to write down students' positions, give reasons to support what they think, show awareness of opposing positions and the weaknesses of their own positions. Critical thinking is very important for students to learn. Critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process of the actively and skillfully conceptualizing and applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. It is self-directed, self-disciplined, self-monitored, and self-corrective thinking. A well-cultivated critical thinker raises vital questions and problems, formulating them clearly and precisely, gathers and assesses relevant information using abstract ideas to interpret it effectively, comes to well-reasoned conclusions and solutions, testing them against relevant criteria and standards, thinks open-mindedly within alternative systems of thought, recognizing and assessing their assumptions, implications, and practical consequences, communicates effectively with others in figuring out solutions to complex problems. Hypothetical thinking and scientific thinking. Hypothetical thinking is defined as the exploration of possibilities and outcomes of different states of the world without an event actually occurring. Instead of learning what other people have discovered, scientific thinking leads children to make their own discoveries. Scientific thinking is manifest as young children ask questions, conduct investigations, collect data, and search for answers. How to foster scientific thinking? Posing several productive questions, give them varied opportunities to explore and experiment, encourage students to work together in building theories, testing those theories, and then evaluating what worked, what didn't, and why. Offering topical information from varied viewpoints, presenting models of scientific methods of observation, hypothesis formulation and data gathering, experimentation and evaluation. Helping children develop inquiring minds and a scientific approach to solving problems in increasingly sophisticated ways. We're gonna follow this for scientific thinking. Ask a question, do background research, construct a hypothesis, test your hypothesis by doing an experiment if it's correct or not, Analyze your data and draw a conclusion. Report your results. Was your hypothesis correct? If it's not correct, you're gonna go back and change the hypothesis. We have two scientists for human development, John Piaget, cognitive developmental theory, Lev Vygotsky, sociocultural theory. Here are the pictures of them. Piaget's cognitive developmental stages between the age 0 and 2, sensory motor. Second stage, pro-operational, age 2-7, early childhood. Concrete operational, age 7-11, elementary. Formal operational, age 12, and adult, middle and high school. Let's talk about sensory motor of Piaget's cognitive developmental stages. Babies begin to make use of imitation, memory, and thought. Object permanence, this is very important for this stage, begins to recognize that the object do not cease to exist when they are hidden, moves from reflex actions to goal-directed activity. Non-verbal communication is also very important. Age 2 to 7, early childhood, pre-operational stage, gradually develops use of language and ability to think in symbolic form, able to think operations through logically in one direction. Egocentrism, has difficulties seeing another person's point of view. Not able to understand laws of conservation, limited social cognition, play development. Age 7 to 11, elementary school, able to solve concrete hands-on problems in logical fashion, understands laws of conservation and is able to classify and seriate. Classification, they can group items into categories, they can make inferences about reality and engage in inductive reasoning. Reciprocity, reversibility, short attention span, develops goal-setting skills, decision-making skills, organizational skills, selecting learner centers, putting materials away, completing a self-initiated project. Age 11 to adult, middle and high school, formal operational stage, able to solve abstract problems in logical fashion, response to real world, increased focus on the world beyond the school setting, becomes more scientific in thinking, abstract thinking, hypothetical thinking, deductive and inductive reasoning, identity development, sensitive to peer relations, peer pressure, feeling of rebelliousness, engages in risk-taking, prefers to construct of knowledge, workplace skills. Let's look at Vygotsky's sociocultural theory. Social interaction plays a fundamental role in the process of cognitive development. In contrast to Jean Piaget's understanding of child, Vygotsky felt social learning precedes development. Zone of proximal development, ZPD. A level of development attained when children engage in social behavior. Full development of the ZPD depends upon full social interaction. The range of skill that can be developed with adult guidance or peer collaboration exceeds what can be attained alone. This is the area what child can do without help. This is the area what child can do with help. This is called zone of proximal development. The whole area is the child's capacity. Let's look at scaffolding. Scaffolding is the provision of sufficient support to promote learning when concepts and skills are being first introduced to students. These supports may include the following: resources, a compelling task, templates and guides, guidance on development of cognitive and social skills. These supports are gradually removed as students develop autonomous learning strategies, thus promoting their own cognitive, affective, and psychomotor learning skills and knowledge. Teachers help students master a task or a concept by providing support. The support can take many forms such as outlines, recommended documents, storyboards, or key questions. ZPD, Zone of Proximal Development. In this picture we can see this one without help, and if you're helping the child, then the child can learn very quickly. They have the capacity to learn with help. Play development. Games promote development by engaging students in opportunities to reason and become more logical as they develop strategies, understand cause and effect relationships, and anticipate consequences. Solitary, alone. Onlooker, just watching. Parallel, next to another child but not together. Associative, maybe together but not cooperation. Rough and tumble, very active. Let's talk about substance abuse. 1. Role modeling. 2. Class discussions to give everyone the opportunity to express their own feelings, ideas, and concerns. 3. Make a referral to school counselor. Developmental delays. A developmental delay is any significant lag in a child's physical, cognitive, behavioral, emotional, or social development in comparison with norms. Not all slow learners are having developmental delays. Developmental delay is most often a diagnosis made by a doctor based on strict guidelines. We have the life skills. They are decision-making skills, organizational skills, goal-setting skills, self-direction skills, workplace skills. Decision-making skills, a sense of confidence and empowerment, is reinforced every time an individual has the opportunity to experience the outcomes of his or her own choosing. Students will be able to make decisions about the best way, best choice, best tool, etc. Providing free selected variety of choices, activities, topics, materials, designing his or her own project to demonstrate a particular concept, choosing 3 out of the 5 activities, deciding which center to visit during self-selection, deciding whether to submit a final project on disk, on paper, or on videotape. Organizational skills. Organizational skills are worthwhile lifelong skills. Helping the child to develop a routine will ultimately lead to organization success. The goal for organization is to eliminate tardiness, forgetfulness, lack of preparedness, and procrastination. These habits need to be replaced with strategies to ensure the student is utilizing good organizational skills. A daily agenda or timetable should be with the student at all times during the school day. Checklists to ensure that all steps or procedures are followed should be plain view. Break down all items that are to be included in assignments and provide goals to be reached and ensure that checkpoints are in place. Teach the child how to highlight pertinent information and take notes that are meaningful. Goal-setting skills. Goal setting is a strategy used to help students set specific, realistic, and measurable goals for learning. There are a multitude of benefits that exist for students when specific learning goals are set. The greatest benefit is achieved when the students have a role in forming the goals as they feel more ownership and accountability towards the goals. Each goal should be followed by objectives that tell how that goal will be accomplished, i.e., what behaviors will be demonstrated by the students. Identify strategies and tools for organizing time and tasks so that proper resources will be used and the goals will be met. Students will be forced to take a more active role in their learning process. Increase intrinsic motivation. Workplace skills. Too often, students attempt to contribute to an organization without underpinning skills such as communications, problem solving, working effectively in teams, presenting an idea effectively, working with others to generate ideas, etc. The result is that good ideas do not get hurt and both the business and the student's career suffer. Key concepts to teach: strong team concepts and skills, integrate technology into projects, structured learning approach, problem solving strategies, new product design projects, business presentations, research. During the middle school years, young adolescents' need for an increasing sense of autonomy can be best met by A. Designing activities and assignments to permit student choice among a range of options. B. Using democratic processes to make decisions affecting the whole class, such as where to go on a field trip. C. Routinely including blocks of unstructured time in students' daily schedules. D. Assigning grades based primarily on students' self-evaluations of their performance. Pause the video here, try it yourself first. Question number 2. A teaching team in a middle school class is planning an assignment in which students will spend several weeks examining the costs and benefits of various human activities. Examples of topics studied by students in the past include dirt biking in wilderness areas, the use of pesticides on crops, and watching television. The teachers will help students identify an activity they are interested in, develop an appropriate plan for collecting information, and decide what type of presentation to make to the class at the end of the project. The requirement to examine both the costs and benefits of a particular activity is a valuable exercise for middle school students primarily because it eliminates the misconception that there is always one ideal solution to any problem. B. Promote students' growing capacity to consider a topic from more than one point of view. C. It ensures that students' final conclusions will be based on reason rather than an opinion. D. Requires students to generate ideas on their own rather than simply making use of received information. Pause the video here and try it yourself. Question number 3. Joshua is a 3-year-old boy who often chooses to play in the block corner during free playtime. For several weeks, Joshua's block constructions have consisted primarily of repetitive rows made by placing the blocks end to end horizontally or by stacking them vertically. Based on this information, the best assessment of Joshua's play with the blocks is that he is A. Too limited in his approach and needs to be stimulated to explore other types of block construction. B. Passing through a predictable stage in his exploration of the block medium. C. Exhibiting sign of cognitive delay and should be tested for possible cognitive deficits. D. Showing the effects of a home environment in which materials other than blocks are used to provide cognitive stimulation. Pause the video here and try it yourself first. Question number 4. A preschooler has a pitcher of milk. After pouring milk from the pitcher into 3 cups, the preschooler announces that she now has more milk. The teacher's best assessment of this incident would be that the student A. appears to be showing signs of a developmental delay, B. has not grasped the concept of conservation of volume, C. appears to be showing signs of a visual disability, D. has not developed the concept of object permanence. Pause the video here and try it yourself. Question number 5. The students in an 8th grade class represent a wide range of levels of cognitive development, from concrete operational to formal operational thought. The teacher's best strategy for adapting instruction to accommodate this degree of cognitive variation among students would be to A. Make use of experiential and hands-on activities to complement and illustrate more abstract content. B. Group students as much as possible according to level of cognitive development. C. Plan to work with students one-on-one to the greatest extent possible. D. Target instruction at the average level of cognitive development represented by the class overall. Pause the video here and try it yourself. Question number 6. A high school junior tells a teacher that he intends to drop out of school because school is a waste of time and a full-time job would enable him to earn a lot of money. The teacher is most likely to be able to discuss this issue effectively with the student if the teacher is aware that many students at this age A. Focus on the present and have trouble appreciating long-term consequences. B. Are not yet able to recognize and distinguish the diverse roles of individuals and groups in society. C. Find it difficult to apply reasoning skills to any issues that are affecting their own lives. D. View the authority figures in their lives, including teachers, as being able to make the best decisions. Pause the video here and try it yourself. Question number 7. According to Piaget's stages of cognitive development, which of the following thought processes best distinguishes a student at the formal operational stage? A. Abstract thought. B. Logical thought. C. Concrete thought. D. Intuitive thought. Pause the video here and try it yourself. Question number 8. Daniel is a 4-year-old who prefers play by herself and is not comfortable interacting with other children. To best facilitate Daniel's transition into the next stage of play development, the teacher should provide a variety of A. Individual activities and materials that children can do side by side. B. Small group and child-directed activities. C. Play, props, and cooperative activities. D. Interesting and age-appropriate individual activities. Pause the video here and try it yourself. Question number 9. Miss Wynne notices that a boy in her kindergarten class comes to school very irritable and is hyperactive most of the day. He has trouble concentrating and frequently fights with other children. Which of the following actions would be the most appropriate first response to this situation? A. Referring the child to the school nurse for possible attention deficit hyperactivity disorder symptoms. B. Monitoring and documenting the behavior to be used at the parent-teacher conference in a few months. C. Setting up a conference with the child's parents to discuss behavior at home and sleep schedules. D. Collaborating with an administrator to develop an intervention plan to address the behavior. Pause the video here and try it yourself. Question number 10. Mrs. Ramirez is a 5th grade teacher planning a unit on the environment. The students will work collaboratively to conduct internet search that will culminate in a group computer-based slideshow persuading community members to participate in helping to protect the environment. When constructing her lesson plans for the unit, Ms. Ramirez anticipates potential challenges that may arise while students are conducting their research. She decided to conduct several mini-lessons before students begin their research. Mini-lesson 1. How to distinguish relevant from irrelevant information. Mini-lesson 2. How to refrain from plagiarism. Mini-lesson 3. How to keep their research organized. To most effectively facilitate the students' understanding of the third mini-lesson, Ms. Ramirez should A. Allow students computer access to record topic ideas and develop an outline. B. Require students to keep a journal to reflect on their progress. C. Allow the librarian to demonstrate how books and journals are organized. D. Require students to search for images that correspond to their ideas. Pause the video here and try it yourself.